Hello students, this is my fourth lecture on Shashidesh Pande's novel The Dark Codes No Terrors. Now, as you know that Shashidesh Pande in this novel tried to depict a character uh, which is trying to react against the patriarchal norms. Sarita, the central character, is reacting against the set up norms of the society. The first decision which she took was that despite the opposition of the family members, she went for MBBS course. Now, the second bold decision which she took was actually her marriage with the person of her own choice. Now, in traditional Indian societies, as you know, that intercaste marriage is not allowed. It is not supposed to be good. Now, Shashidesh Pande is also trying to depict the same kind of picture in this novel. Now, technically, if you find that this novel resembles a short story, A Liberated Woman, which is written by Shashidesh Pande in her early career. Now, the short story which I have just told you is entitled A Liberated Woman. It is about a young woman who falls in love with a man of different caste and marries in spite of the opposition of the family members. She becomes a successful doctor, but her husband cannot see her rising in her life. Her marriage breaks up. As a respected public figure, she realizes that the best advice she can give to the young Indian girls is, there are certain lines from that short story, never overtake your husband in anything, she says, the central character. Then the line is that have you seen really old-fashioned couples walking together? Have you noticed that the wife always walks a few steps behind her husband? I think this is symbolic, you know. These are the lines actually from that short story. Now, Manohar in this novel, The Dark Codes No Terrors, belongs to the low caste. And her conservative parents of Sarita, will never allow her to marry a person of that type. Now, there is a conversation between Sarita and her mother regarding her marriage, because when she came to know that she is in love with the person and she is going to get married. Now, there is a line at page number 96 in the novel where the conversation takes place, and mother is actually asking Sarita about the person whom she is going to marry. So the line is, what caste is he? Then the response was, I don't know. A Brahmin? Of course not. Then clearly his father keeps a cycle shop? Oh, they are low caste people, are they? Now, this is actually the impression of the mother regarding Manohar, and she is going to marry that person. Now, in this matter, actually, a mother was always, throwing cold water upon Sarita. She was always discouraging Sarita. Now, what happens actually, and that is what I have just told you, that this is the second bold step which Sarita has taken, that Sarita married Manohar and broke away from the barriers of caste-ridden society. She freed herself from the matriarchal and patriarchal bonds. she has dark complexion. Even then, Manohar got attracted towards her. To her inferiority complex stricken psyche and love, starved body and mind, he proves the much needed panacea because Sarita was in need of that. She was deprived of love and care actually, and this she found in the image of Manohar. Now, the departure of the heroine from the mother is the first step towards autonomy. For the mother is the first pedagogue of the do's and don'ts on the woman, and that I have already told you in the previous lectures how mother was checking the daughter again and again. Now, because she was already depressed because she was living in the family which was giving more importance to the male person. Now, in the company of Manohar, actually, she was expecting a lot of support and strength. But time, situation, fate did not favor her. Even God was also testing her capacity of endurance. Sarita is disappointed with her marital life. So many things happen in her marital life that I'll tell you later. She is getting disappointed as time passes. Her involvement in her profession, because she becomes a doctor in due course of time, communication gap, and difference in social status distance her from Manu mentally, because wife was rising actually, Sarita was rising in life, and Manohar's standard was the same. Now, in a traditional society, marriage curtails the freedom of a woman. When Saru comes back home, she felt herself enclosed. The women like Saru cannot accept the role of a wife because this is really an onslaught on one's individuality, because marriage in the traditional families was synonymous with bondage actually. There are so many things which were imposed on the women. Now, Saru's picture is the picture of a career woman. She proved herself, she did hard labor and became a distinguished doctor. Her husband was simply a teacher, and this widened a chasm, a gap between them. Manohar has really got fed up with the people knocking at the door and saying, is the doctor in? There is a reference in the novel where the people were coming and knocking at the door and they were saying, is the doctor in? Now, this actually irritated Manohar, and it happens in the societies. In the patriarchal societies, male members actually will not tolerate this, that they are not given importance and their wives are given importance. So this is the line there in the novel, is the doctor in? And people coming and knocking at the door and asking about Sarita, and this was really irritating Manohar. Now Manohar eventually was bound to say, like when most of the time people were coming and knocking at the door and saying, is the doctor in? So Manohar ultimately said, open it, Saru. I mean, it must be for you. This is again a line in the novel. It must be for you. Actually, the person has not come for me, person has come for you. Saru was very much, exhilarated with the dignity and importance that her status as a doctor, seemed to have given her. Now, she really enjoyed those, moments when she was, meeting, listening, examining, advising, and giving prescription to her patients. Her popularity and fame was increasing by leaps and bounds. And there are many instances in the novel where you find out all these points. There is a reference At page number 42 in the novel, uh, it is written that, and now when we walked out of a room, there were nods and smiles, murmured greetings and namastes, but they were all for me, only for me. There was nothing for him. He was almost totally ignored. Now look at the gap which is maintained between the two persons. Now her husband actually could not see all these things. He said, again at the same page number you have the reference. He says, the husband says, that Manohar says, I am sick of this place. Let's get out of here soon. She used to remain actually very busy in her business. And again, we have the reference here, and I mean, Sarita says, and so the esteem with which I was surrounded made me inches taller, but perhaps the same thing that made me inches taller made him inches shorter. He had been the young man and I his bride. Now I was a lady doctor and he was my husband. Actually, he was known by my name actually. His identity was based on my identity. Now this was really intolerable. She was socially and economically superior to her husband. She realizes the falsity of the notion of equality she had read in the books, but this actually cannot be tolerated by the husband. And she says that though I am greater than my husband, though I am superior to my husband in many respects, but in the traditional society, it can never be accepted. And again, at the same page number, she says, A plus B, they told us in mathematics, is equal to B plus A. But here, A plus B was definitely not equal to B plus A. Now look at these lines. A plus B, they told us in mathematics, is equal to B plus A. But here, A plus B was definitely not equal to B plus A. It became a monstrously unbalanced equation, lopsided, unequal, impossible. But is that the only reason? Or would it have happened in any case? What happened to us later? He being what he is and I being what I am. I have a feeling I will never know the answer to that one. This was actually the message which she was trying to communicate to the people, that don't believe in A plus B equal to B plus A, because in society we are not equal. Now Manohar actually started feeling inferiority complex, and once his male ego was very much hurt when a female journalist asks one very irritating question. And the line is actually, again we have at page number 36 in the novel, and the female journalist actually asked a question that was quite irritating to Manohar. She asked, how does it feel when your wife earns not only the butter but most of the bread as well? This was very irritating to Manohar. That night, he ruins her physically as well as psychologically. Now, he is not only a sadist, he is a man of dual personality. The benevolent, cheerful husband by day, and lecherous, libidinous rapist at night. She sees herself as two in one. A doctor in white coat by day and a trapped woman by night. Sarita rejected her parents to marry Manohar, who proves a villain in her life. There's so many points when we, start looking at the journey of Sarita. We find that actually the novel is basically trying to show the struggle of a career woman. She actually rejected the family for MBBS, and then again, in order to settle in her life, when she marries Manohar, but Manohar proves to be a villain in her life. Now, Sarita's autonomy is questioned by her mother and by her husband. She becomes dejected, and while addressing the girls in a college, she says, and I think this is a kind of message to all the women actually living in Indian society. Again, at page number 137, there are a few significant lines which are spoken by Sarita, and I think they are in the form of the message. Sarita says, a wife must always be a few feet behind her husband. The lines are very pertinent. A wife must always be a few feet behind her husband. If he is an MA, you should be a BA. If he is 5'4" tall, you should not be more than 5'3". If he is earning 500 rupees, you should never earn more than 499 rupees. That's the only rule to follow if you want a happy marriage. Don't ever try to reverse the doctor, nurse, executive secretary, principal teacher rule. It can be traumatic, disastrous, and I assure you, it is not worth it. He will suffer, you will suffer, and so will the children. Now, this is actually the message of the Sarita for the girls. Now, you see, but the story does not end here. The novelist does not depict her as a woman surrendering herself before the adverse circumstances. Whenever her individual self was hurt, she rebelled. She exerted her individuality by getting married with a person whom her parents did not like, as I just told you. She has shown her husband that she has an independent self. When she comes back to her parents' home to escape herself from the monstrous brutality of her husband, she decides, she comes back to the house, to the parents' house, in order to escape herself from the brutal activities of the husband. But she started thinking, no, I will not, I should not be an escapist. I should not escape myself from the adverse circumstances. Let me face the situation. First, she requests her Baba, the father, to open the door if Manu comes. And then she herself thinks to open it. So, no, I will open the door if he comes. This does not show her subservience, but a will to face the odd circumstances. The dark really does not hold terror. This here lies the significance of the title of the novel. The dark really does not hold the terror. One must learn how to face it. Escape is not a right decision for a person to escape oneself from the oppressive forces. In the case of Sarita, it is neither her father's home nor the husband's, which is a permanent house for perennial pleasure. One must seek it within oneself, and this is suggested in the epigraph of the novel. Epigraph of the novel is very significant, and in the epigraph of the novel, when you read the novel, this epigraph which is there, the beginning of the novel. It is written there, you are your own refuse. You are your own refuse. There is no other refuse. This refuse is hard to achieve. Very significant lines. And this is the epigraph of the novel. You are your own refuse. There is no other refuse. This refuse is hard to achieve. She has to develop in herself a fortitude to overcome the phantoms who are constantly haunting her. She has to remove the darkness alone. Nobody else can help her out. In order to live without fear, she will have to look into the face of reality and grapple with it alone. The novelist made an endeavor to shape the picture of a new woman in the image of Sarita, and this picture was later on perfected in the role of Jaya in That Long Silence, which was given the prestigious Sahitya Academy Award and was highly commended by the literary people. So this much all about the novel The Dark Horse No Terrors. I hope the major points related to the novel are clear to you. Thank you very much.